It is the morning show that you can listen to anytime, anywhere. It's Mike Chandler and friends, and I've got a special guest this morning and a special topic I want to talk about, and it's absolutely amazing. My special co-host this morning is the Honorable Judge Alexander Williams. He's in the D.C. area. He's been doing big things. The most important thing, Howard University graduate, and we're going to get into your background, man. How you doing this morning, Judge?
I'm doing fine. It's just an honor and privilege just to be with you today and to the listeners.
Now, Judge Williams, you were nominated by President Bill Clinton to serve on the United States District Court and for the District of Maryland. Tell us about that process, man.
Yeah. After serving as the elected district attorney or state's attorney in Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland, President Clinton then nominated me to the court. I had a pretty rough, I guess you call it process. The American Bar Association wasn't happy with me. They didn't think I was, quote, qualified to do that. So I fought them. And fortunately, with the help of the National Bar Association, a collection of Black lawyers, and my U.S. Senator who refused to pull the nomination, I was able to move forward and get seated. I got a unanimous confirmation, but unlike Justice Jackson, who just went through this terrible process, I didn't have that type of treatment that took place during her couple of days of turmoil.
Yeah, I was just absolutely just floored by what I saw at some points disrespect of the new Supreme Court Justice Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. First off, y'all, for all the haters, if there's some haters out there, she's been confirmed. So I mean, y'all just you just gotta
that's right.
Pray about it. Now, Judge Williams, why is it now? You mentioned that you went through a contentious type of confirmation hearing, but this thing that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson went through, man, it bordered on just being insulting, demeaning at times, and sometimes just absolutely ridiculous. Why is it that sometimes, not all the time, why is it sometimes, and what is it so about this position of judge? Why is it that sometimes judges of color are faced with such great opposition to these positions of judge, and why is this judge thing so powerful?
Yeah. It's she went through an awful process, and it really made a number of us angry. I went from anger all the way to joy when she finally was confirmed. But a lot of African American and other minorities and women, from that standpoint, are trying to enter a bastion, a field that traditionally has been reserved for white males. And whenever we get a prominent position or get appointed to do, there's always some people who are going to challenge that. They don't like that. And we have to fight a little harder. And quite candidly, I don't know of anyone on the Supreme Court right now, or even historically, that can match the outstanding record that this woman has brought and presented as a candidate. Just terrific experience.
And that's what's so crazy, Judge Williams. When you look at her credentials, you would think that, oh man, this is going to be a walk in the park. I mean, this woman's she is like a judges. But it didn't happen that way. It's not like she went to the Mike Chandler School of Law. She went to Harvard. What is considered one of the best?
Absolutely. She played by the rules. She worked hard in public school down there in Miami, then got into Harvard Law, clerk for judges, even clerk for the judge Stephen Breyer, who she is going to replace, or she is replacing. And she's had just broad experience. She worked for a silver stocking law firm. She worked as a public defender. She was a counsel of the Sentencing Commission and became vice chair. Then she was appointed as the U.S. District Court judge for D.C., the same job I had, and then was moved up by Biden to the U.S. Court of Appeals. So she just has everything going for her. And I was just shocked and stunned by the shameless attacks that were put on her and sent her through that awful process.
It got ridiculous at some points, Judge Williams. My special co-host this morning is Judge Alexander Williams. He teaches at Howard University, has held numerous judge appointments, and we're talking this morning about our new Supreme Court confirmed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, Judge Williams, the Supreme Court, that without any doubt, by anybody's description, has shifted pretty strongly over to the right, very conservative, over to the right. And there are some very important issues coming before the court this coming session. And now you got Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson on that court. Let's talk about, if you will, some of the more important or some of the more impactful issues that will become up in front of this court, and what type of effect do you think that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's presence will have on some of these issues?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's just great to have her presence and her voice and what she brings to that court. As you indicated, right now the court pretty much has shifted to the right. There's a 6-3 majority of conservatives as opposed to liberals or moderates or whatever. Once in a while, the Chief Judge Roberts shifts over and votes with the liberals, but that's still only 5-4. So right now, we certainly are glad to have Justice Jackson's a voice, but it's going to be tough when these great issues come before her. And I think the listeners should certainly understand we've got some pretty very challenging issues that the Supreme Court is going to be dealing with. One, obviously, is the abortion laws and the restrictions that we're being seen by a number of states now restricting abortion. We also have court cases involving mask mandates, whether you're going to have to wear masks or don't have to wear masks on transportation. That's an issue. Immigration and asylum certainly is an issue that is going to come before the Supreme Court, and your listeners should understand a couple other issues that affect them. One would be affirmative action and challenges to diversity and equity and inclusion. There's a lot of people filing lawsuits against those type of policies that try to rectify wrongs. And of course, we also are going to have criminal justice reform. And it's a number of disputes in the next few years between branches of government from that standpoint. And one other issue I want to bring up that's going to come before the court at some point, and I call that censorship in education. What can be taught? This thing about the challenging, quote, critical race theory. Again, I'm not sure where we're going with that, but that's an issue that at some point is probably going to reach the Supreme Court. So to have another voice, an experienced voice, the perspective of a woman on all these critical issues is so important. And I look forward to her presence, her writings, whether it's a majority or dissenting opinions. We just need her voice.
Yeah. And she's certainly going to bring a different, a new perspective to that position. And you, Judge Alex Williams, you mentioned about what can be taught in schools, and I know which the buzzword is critical race theory, but also there's an undercurrent of what's going there is that we don't want y'all telling what we did.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You're cutting off history. What happened? You don't want today's generation of young people to know anything about how bad things were during slavery, during segregation, and thereafter. And I think that's just awful.
It happened, but it did happen. So
yeah.
do we not tell our children the truth? We've had all kinds throughout history, Judge Williams. We've had bad stuff happen throughout history. But if you ignore it, that sets you up for the same thing happening again. Slavery did happen. There's a lot of things that we certainly none of us are proud of that really happened, but we have to talk about it and we have to know the truth about that history. And I hope that we don't get to the point where we're censoring the truth.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And of course, going back to Justice Jackson's process, you remember, Mr. Chandler, that they were asking her questions about her thoughts on critical race theory, totally irrelevant to her qualifications and all of that nonsense. And the other question that they kept asking her, what is the definition of a woman? Well, what are we talking about?
I almost died.
It's just nonsense. And I tell you, two of those senators that kept asking that, they're lawyers. Again, Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, they're lawyers and they know better. And they were cutting her off and not letting her respond. But she was so respectful. She was so calm. She was so polite and respectful. And that's what makes her just a terrific candidate for that bench. And we're going to enjoy seeing her in the next couple of decades on that Supreme Court.
We saw my special co-host today is Judge Alexander Williams. And Judge, one final question. You talked about how, and I was just floored at what I thought was just foolishness that was happening. Now, Judge, honestly, could you have been as cool, calm, and collected underneath that kind of fire? Come on, man.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Chandler, thank God those things never came up on me. I had just a little controversy with some of the members of the ABA, but beyond that, no. And I tell you, I could not have done what she did. I just didn't like what they were doing. They were trying to portray her in a false light and trying to scare the citizens into thinking that she's advocating the release of pornographers and pedophiles and trying to portray her as being soft on crime, taking her statements of representation and legal papers out of context, and then trying to fool the public into thinking that she wasn't qualified or she'd be dangerous. And as I said, my approach in this thing, it went from anger, looking at it, and then finally joy came when she was confirmed on that seat. But I tell you, it was an awful thing, and to see the divisions, the partisan divisions that's taking place on Congress right now is just not right. I was so disappointed that only three Republicans sided with her to confirm her. And even the black senator from South Carolina, Scott,
Tim
he
Scott,
didn't vote for her. He didn't vote for her and give us some excuse, didn't like her answers.
But Judge, they actually got up and walked out.
Yes.
Is that a statement? Is that
totally totally disrespectful of her, and nobody has ever been treated that way. No one, and it just wasn't right. But I'm hoping that the generation of young people who are listening and who are around, I hope they saw it and they're prepared for these kind of things that's going to be with us probably the next few years.
My special co-host is Judge Alexander Williams. Also, he teaches at Howard Law School. Judge, before you go, can you speak to our young folk on the importance and how impactful it is for folk to go into the legal profession?
Yeah. It's a great field. I've been teaching, and a lot of your affiliates, I'm sure some of my students around the country from Howard are listening there. And it was just a great thing to teach them because I call them stars on the rise. And the legal profession is still a wonderful career because it helps lift up legal issues and reform, and you do research and you advocate on behalf of people to make sure that they get their God-given and constitutional rights that they have. So great profession. We've got some great men and women who are still studying all over America, and I want to wish them the best as they enter this profession and represent us.
The Honorable Judge Alexander Williams, cranking out stars all over the place. Judge, thank you so much for being with my co-host this morning, and thank you for your perspective on our brand new Supreme Court Justice.
All right, Mr. Chandler, thank you much for having me. And to the listeners, goodbye and hello. Yes.
It's the morning show you can listen to anytime, anywhere. It's Mike Chandler along with Judge Williams.